Hi, I'm going to start a series of videos around relationships. And I want to kick this off with the famous Marianne Williamson quote. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. This is a quote that's helped me out a lot. It took me a while to understand it, at least for me. What does it mean? I understood that, especially in relationships and when I was single, how I acted as a victim from my darkness. And up to a certain point, how I liked it. Might sound contradictory, but that's what happened. How did this happen? I had a lot of relationships. They didn't work. So somebody came up to me and asked me, Herman, what happened with that relationship with your partner? And I started to blame the other partner. I started to say, she didn't like me, she didn't want me, she didn't accept me, she didn't respect me, blah, 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 blah. And it was easy for me to say that. So the other person started to pity me, starting to say, oh, poor Herman. Yeah, women are like that. And they started to justify everything around what happened. This made me feel good at the moment, like I felt accepted. I felt it was not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. But that only lasted for a while. Then I got into another relationship. The same thing happened. I came up with the same excuses. But I still didn't feel good in my life. And although the first time was a fact, the second time and the third time became an excuse because I wasn't doing anything towards changing this. And I was fearful of bringing out my light. When I finally understood this quote, I started to feel that if I brought out my light, first of all, I couldn't act as a victim because I became responsible of my own self. And second, that I was the one who had to change, not my partners. I was the one that had to start bringing out the light inside of me. Normally, when we start to talk about change, especially in a relationship, has to do with, for example, in my case, being thinner, being more a person that talked more an extrovert, being funnier. I don't know, being a better dancer, stuff like that. That didn't really work out. The change had to come inside. And part of that change had to be with bringing out my light, who I really am, and without fear. And this took a while. So part of today that I want to talk about has to do with this. I know we've been taught about being a victim since we were little. It was the easy way out. When we had problems in school, for example, and we brought in a bad report card, the easy way out was blaming the teachers, blaming the school. And that helped us for a while. We brought that way of justifying ourselves or our errors or our mistakes into an adulthood. But has that helped you? Have you fixed your problems? I don't think so. So today the invitation is to start bringing out your light. Like they say around here, it's like take a test drive of it. Try to bring it out for a while and see what happens. I can tell you by my own experience, I've received a lot of surprises. First, of how I felt about myself, and second, the people around me. I thought people would not accept me. And later on, we're going to understand in another video how we create that gap between who we really are and what we try to show other people, and how that becomes a survival mode. But if we start bringing out that light, who we really are, it's something beautiful. I know you might be afraid of bringing it out. And normally that's why we need external help. We need other people to come into our lives and show us that light and guide us how we can bring out that light without that fear. So today, bring out that light inside of each and every one of you. Bring it out little bits. Bring it out with somebody you can feel confident with, you can trust. And you start feeling better with yourselves. And this is the best way to create different relationships, to get that partner you've always wanted. Next week, I'm going to bring out a video where we start understanding how we created those fears, how we created those emotional voids, how we created those limiting beliefs, how we are who we are today, and why we are this way. I wish you a life of love, of happiness, and of being yourself.